Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with Bet Victor, your go-to weekly show to find you those big Saturday winners. And we have another big episode for you this time around because we have a real blend of jump and flat racing, because we're going to be looking ahead to the Dewhurst as well as the Cesarewitch at Newmarket. As well as that, we also have the Silver Trophy at Chepstow, and we're going to be taking an early look ahead to the Champions Stakes on British Champions Day at Ascot in just over a week's time. And I'm going to be looking at all of these races in the usual enough company of Declan Rix, who's in the studio with me for now. Dec, very well done to you for your nap landing yet again last week. So the good run continues.
Yeah, no, it's going well. Yeah, good performance by Woodhay Wonder. I thought she needed to be really tough now because the race was run at a proper strong gallop, and you know, a lot of horses would kind of chuck in the towel when they get that far behind. But I thought she was kind of, you know, well treated by race conditions, and so it proved. And the form of the Tom Ward yard continues. So this week, though, going to be trickier, I think. Tricky time of year, mixing jump and flat, and there is a mountain of rain around. All the jumps yards were praying for rain, let it rain, and it has come in spades.
It has done, hasn't it? So no doubt we'll be giving Weather Watch again on this week's show. But before we get into that, you might have noticed that Sam Boswell is not with us in the studio, but by the power of technology, Sam is on our monitor. But Sam, you're not here in person because you're slightly under the weather, so we're just grateful you're here, to be honest.
Very kind of you, Kate. Yeah, it's been a busy week, and I think I just need a bit of time to recover. I was lucky enough to be at the snooker final on Sunday where Judd Trump came out on top, and then a quick trip to Punchestown midweek. What a treat that was. We sponsored the card there, and we saw Manila Endo bounce back in emphatic style. So, yeah, it does certainly feel like the time of year is changing. Big well done to Dec. I've lost count of how many naps in a row he's now landed. I managed to get Emirati Anna up last week. Fingers crossed we can find some more winners.
Yep, and another nap landed for yourself, Sam, so very well done for that. Hopefully the lads can keep up the good record going into this week's show. But before we crack on with the action, a reminder as ever to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction. Right, on to our first race, because we begin with the big two-year-old race of Saturday. This is the Group 1 Dewhurst Stakes for the two-year-olds over 7 furlongs at 2 o'clock at Newmarket. City of Troy is back out again. It'll be great to see this potential star here, but he is a very short price favourite, Dec. So does he win this as he likes, or what's the play?
Yeah, he, as the odds suggest, he's definitely the horse to beat, isn't he, on form. It's a race that's actually cut up pretty badly. Ballydoyle had a mountain of ammo in there at the 5-day stage, but they rely on this guy, the winner of the Superlative Stakes earlier in the season. Like, that was an incredible performance. No matter what way you cut that performance, it was impressive. He bolted up by a massive distance. The time stood up very well to what Biggles did, winning the Bunbury Cup as well a half an hour later. But I just wonder, the post-race comments from Ryan Moore are a little bit of a worry. He said he didn't really love the ground, and that's got to be a worry, because I think Newmarket have 29 mils of rain in the last 48 hours. The conditions are going to be soft, so that would be a worry for me. And with that kind of being the case, I thought Iberian was a bet at the prices. Look, he needs to improve to get to City of Troy's level, absolutely no doubt. But we saw last time in the Champagne Stakes, he's a really progressive horse, and most importantly, Kate, he handles soft ground, which is maybe no surprise that he's by Lope de Vega, and from the family of a good filly back a few years ago called High Heel. Do like to get her toe in as well. I thought he deserved an awful lot of credit given how well he won this race, because he wasn't in a great position tactically, given it was a steadily run affair, and also he didn't get cover early in the race because Sean Levy did a very good job pushing Tom Marquand out into daylight. But to win as well as he did, it was a massive performance. He's clearly a horse going the right way. So given the ground conditions, I'm going to have to side with him over City of Troy.
OK, so good way to play our opener then. But as you say, Dec, I mean, if City of Troy does run here and we get the deluge of rain that we're expecting, a few eyebrows are going to be raised with him being a non-runner on good to yielding ground last time out. But I guess it is the Dewhurst at the end of the day, so you sort of have to run. Yeah,
no, exactly. And the other day, they also had the good Henry Longfellow in the National Stakes as a backup. They have another horse back up here, but I don't think he's as good. I suggest they probably let him take his chance. Hopefully they do anyway, because the race will definitely be much poorer for his absence.
Yes, certainly so. But Dec, Sam, is taking on the short price favourite in the first. How are you playing it?
I was a lot more confident 48 hours ago on City of Troy when I had sort of started to think about my selection for this race. And I'm still sticking with him. I had a sort of spiel plan that I was going to explain that I thought he was going to win by about 4 lengths and he was going to yet again put in another breathtaking performance. We go back to that run the last day, and it was one of the best performances I think I've seen at the flat this season. One of those that really sticks in your mind. He's a short price, isn't he? I know Newmarket has had a lot of rain. Hopefully they've had the worst of it now. They have got a bit of a breeze there as well, which should help it drying out a little bit. I don't think it's the strongest, deepest renewal. I think Dex alluded to that as well. So he's a tentative selection rather than a confident one in the race. I probably won't go too mad. But like I say, Iberian, completely respect the horse and understand the angle there. But that aside, I kind of was a little bit disappointed. And I think City of Troy, I really want to see him. And I think Connections are more likely than not to take the chance to run him, even with the ease in the ground, just because they're running out of options, aren't they? And I'm desperate to see him once more. And potentially, maybe you want to play the unders on the distance market if you think he's not necessarily going to completely handle conditions ideally. But let's not forget, if they expect him to come back next season and win some of the big trophies at Newmarket, he's going to have to show he can handle it potentially. Obviously, the Guineas recent years has been run on that sort of slightly easier ground. So I think in some ways they're going to have to play their hand here and see how he gets on. But yeah, a tentative pick at the prices. Appreciate he is very short, but I still hope we've got a superstar on display come Saturday afternoon.
We could well do with City of Troy, and as you say, Sam, where he's probably going to have to show his versatility at some point, so this is going to be the great acid test then for him.
I suppose one thing maybe being a positive is the ground conditions are going to make it more of a stamina test, aren't they? You know, this horse is going to get a mile so easily, get a mile easily this year, so if he does handle the ground, it will bring his stamina into play. And we probably should mention very quickly, they usually race on the stand side rail here, don't they, at Newmarket? The stalls are in the middle. He's drawn widest of all, but if Ryan can get him over from that kind of wide draw to the stand side rail with a little bit of a tailwind helping him, that can maybe help his cause as well.
Certainly so, as you say, stalls in the centre. And I'm hoping it is going to be that bit of a stamina test, because I was really looking for that each-way alternative then against the short price favourite. And the one for me that was probably overpriced was the outsider of the entire field, Hartem. He's already finished second to City of Troy earlier on this season. Now, on the face of it, it sort of looks as though the wheels have fallen off in the latest couple of starts. But yes, he was beaten 6.5 lengths behind City of Troy in the Superlative Stakes, but still, he has that intertwining form line. Then he won the over 7 furlongs in the Vintage Stakes over the reopposing and the much shorter price here, Iberian. Now, as I say, the two most recent outings on the face of it look very disappointing, but I'm taking confidence in the fact that Richard Hannon still has enough faith in this horse to be running him here, and the step back up to 7 furlongs is really going to be key for him, rather than last time out. He wasn't even beaten all that far over 6 furlongs in the Mill Reef anyway. I sided with him that day, and he was just being outpaced basically throughout the entirety of the closing stages. But he's been priced up here as though he was beaten a furlong and out of sight. So I think he's been quite easily dismissed here. We're looking for alternative ways perhaps in this contest. And for a horse that's already finished second to City of Troy, I thought 66 to 1 was a bit of an insult.
So I think there's 8 runners in, isn't there? We'll be hoping all 8 stay in for each way purposes, just so viewers keep an eye on that.
Yes, certainly. So that is a very good point to be making, that hopefully all runners stand their ground so I can get the 66 to 1. Now, before we move on to our next race, if you are enjoying the show, and we really hope that you are, please remember to subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel and also hit the bell notification so you never miss an episode. Also, let us know your selections for the Dewhurst in the comment section below. As we move on to our next race now, we certainly have a betting prospect here. This is the Cesarewitch, a heritage handicap for 3-year-olds and over 2 mile 2 furlongs at 240. Sam, loads of jumpers in here, loads of characters we know about. Heading the way is Pied Piper, one of those jumpers nowadays. But who caught your eye in this one?
I love this race, Kate. I've got to say my record in it finding the winner has been patchy, but you'll get plenty of places on offer, which is the great thing, given it's such a big field handicap. It tends to be Irish horses in recent years that you want to side with. You think Willie Mullins has got a fantastic record in here. Charles Burns took the race 12 months ago, but it's a really lazy selection on paper, but I really liked Pied Piper. I thought it was very curious that Gordon Elliott's managed to secure Ryan Moore when you think he'd certainly have the pick of plenty in here, especially the Willie Mullins crew. Like I say, I just really like his form. The recent rain's certainly not going to inconvenience him. He won on heavy ground, didn't he, when he was in the care of John Gosden going back a few years. And his record is it just really is curious. He's had that run to qualify him over hurdles at Kilbeggan, and I just kind of kept coming back to him. I always want to try and find a double-figure price in these kind of fields, but I genuinely did struggle. But Pied Piper for me, I know one of the two of you is certainly very keen on his chances as well, so I'll leave a little bit of meat on the bones, one of you to dissect.
Oh, nicely teed up then. Deck, do you want to take it up? Not to give any surprises away, but
did someone say lazy selection? Yes, sign me up for that. Yeah, I'm also with Pied Piper again. Like Sam, I'd be pretty keen on him. I think he's rated 96. You know, he looks well handicapped to me still on the flat, especially when you consider his hurdles rating of 157. The Cesarewitch is basically a 2 mile 2 bumper, isn't it? Essentially, when you look down through the list of winners, I think Willie Mullins won three in a row, didn't he, at one stage? Alan King has had success here, although Alan's probably a dual-purpose trainer now. It really does look a race where you side with the National Hunt trainers, and you know there are very few better National Hunt trainers around than Gordon Elliott. What I do like about this horse is, since he's joined Gordon, he didn't really have that much of a summer break, but he got a bit of a summer break this year, and I hope that will really just kind of invigorate him and freshen him up for the flat game. Before his run last time out, his prep run, where he shaped like needing the run, his last run actually came in the Ascot Stakes behind Coltrane at Royal Ascot 2 seasons ago. That race has worked out very, very well, and he was too gassy that day under Jamie Spencer in a race that didn't pan out well for him. Because Jamie was trying to get him settled, he probably was falling further and further back through the field, but there was a big drop of pace from Swinley bottom all the way up to 3 out, and he was just too far behind. I thought, given the way the race panned out and given how keen he was in a contest that's worked out really well, I thought he ran nicely. I still think he's very well handicapped off a mark of 96, and Ryan Moore's going to do the steering. What more do you need?
Gordon's in the bumper. There you go.
There you go. A new one,
as the new adage that we're going to be going with for the pair of you two of Pied Piper. Now, I was trying to buy myself some time. I was almost half nervous about revealing my own selection for this race. Gosham. I'm siding with Gosham. This is very much a win or nothing bet for me. I'm not even going to be going each way, even though he's a fair price still, because I just think this is the right spot for him. Return to the flat. The last time we saw him on the flat was when he finished second at Goodwood, a neck behind Tritonic in a mile 4 Class 2 handicap. Last season, very much a mixed bag, winning the Grade 2 Ascot hurdle easily. Then he had those 2 disappointing runs at Lingfield and Fontwell. But the last time we saw him, he was in great order, really bouncing back to form in good style when he was second in another Grade 2 hurdle behind Nappers Hill then. Clearly much happier going right-handed. Now, Rhys Clutterbuck takes the ride. He'll know him plenty from his homework, for all that he's never ridden him in a race before. He is obviously going to take a fair bit of knowing. When I saw his draw in stall 1, initially I was concerned. There's a lot of pace on in here. And nowadays I want to hold up performer in this race, but my concern for him is that if he does take the lead, he's going to get boxed in on the rail. But at the same time, if there's any horse, I think if you want in stall 1, it's going to be Gosham, given his right-hand going tendencies. So when they turn into that long home straight, he's going to have the rail against him, hopefully, just to keep him straight and to keep him focused.
He's going to think he's at Ascot or Sandown, isn't he?
Hopefully, but wondering where the hurdles are at the same time. So I don't know what he's going to make in Newmarket.
So was this you doing the rain dance yesterday at Newmarket?
Oh, very much so.
They've nearly had 30 mils. We do the show early on a Friday morning. They've had 30 mils. That's got to be a massive plus for his chance.
Oh, certainly so. Yeah, I'm hoping for rain for a whole load of my selections then this weekend. But yeah, I think this mark of 88 is very, very feasible for Gosham. But you're both with Pied Piper. So we're all siding with jump horses in the 2 mile 2 flat race in the Cesarewitch. Again, do let us know your own selections in the comment section below as we move on to a proper jumping race now, as we head to Chepstow for their jump season opener. And we're looking at the Silver Trophy handicap hurdle for the 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 3.5 furlongs at 4:15. So, Deck, what's the play in this one?
Yeah, I think probably just before we kick off, we should mention rain as well for Chepstow. I went onto the BHA site before we came onto the show. They had 2 millimetres of rain on Wednesday. They had 21 mils yesterday, and they had another whopping 25 overnight. It's going to be probably perfect ground for all these horses starting off their season season in the Silver Trophy. Look, it's still very early days in the jump season for me. I'll be kind of just keeping a close eye on things for the next 2 or 3 weeks. But a horse here I thought was brutally overpriced, especially if she's ready to go. She's not even on that. She's not even on the board there. But is Molly Ollie's Wishes, who I think is still incredibly well handicapped off 134. Now look, she is a 9-year-old going on 10. You know, she's taking on much younger, probably more progressive and less exposed rivals. But she's got a very good record fresh. She's won the last twice at Wetherby, the last 2 seasons in that listed hurdle up there. You know, I think I've had her running to 140 and 138. She runs here off 134 with then Tristan Durrell's £5 claim easing the burden further. You know, I think if she's ready to go, she's a huge player here, especially given if she comes from a top-class yard like the Skeltons. I suppose ideally, in some ways, you would have liked Harry Skelton to be been riding. He's going to ride Boombone for the yard in the same race, just, you know, to maybe suggest she's been in good order. But I just think at that price, given the rain, that's, you know, really going to suit her. She's a really big, proper galloping mare. I think 2.5 miles on soft ground is tailor-made for her. So I just want to see a little bit of positivity from the Skelton yard about her, bit of positivity about her in the market. If there is, 33 to 1 is quite frankly an insane price. So yeah, I'm going to kick off this year's jump season with a 33 to 1 shot. So all aboard the Molly Ollie's Wishes train.
Start as you mean to go on.
Yeah.
Weird link. I modelled for Molly Ollie Wishes charity catwalk a few weeks ago. A fantastic charity. Not that that's got any sort of reflection on her chances whatsoever, but
Yourself and Sam must have been missed off the email for that one. What do you reckon, Sam?
Next time for the pair of you two. Sam, have you got any other tenuous links to a catwalk there with the name of your horse?
No, sadly, I've never been asked to model yet, Kate, and I think that's probably a bigger price than 33 to 1 Declan Selection there. But yeah, Jumps is back. Absolutely fantastic to see it back into Chepstow, this card on At the Races. I'm really Sky Sports Racing, really looking forward to it. Uncle Bert, for me, I thought I just didn't really understand why this horse wasn't favourite. You won't find a more informed jumps trainer at the moment than Nigel Twiston-Davies. They are absolutely flying. This is his time of year. This horse was last seen, unlike a lot of the contenders in here, has actually obviously had a run recently, having won at Perth about 20 days ago or so. That came on soft ground as well, so I've got no concerns about this recent rain. I still think the horse has got a little bit of juice in the handicap mark, up to a mark of 125 now after that fairly easy, facile win. You go back to last season, a mixed record, I think it's fair to say, but was beaten by a couple of nice horses on debut by the likes of Colonel Harry, and then ended the season pulling up at Aintree in a rather warm-looking Thursday novice hurdle, which is obviously a grade 1. I just think this horse is with the right connections at the right time. The team are absolutely flying. Nigel Twiston-Davies, like I say, this is his time of year, and I'd be very disappointed if it doesn't be within the first 3 here, 13 to 2. I thought it was just a big price, and I think may go off a little bit shorter. For all I have a lot of respect for Paul Nichols's horse Songario in there, I was very, very keen on Uncle Bert.
Sam, our Bet Victor going first 3 or first 4 here, do you know? I do apologise putting you on the spot.
You have put me on the spot, Dec. Give me 2 seconds and I will come back to you once we've had Kate's selection.
Oh, nicely done. Nicely thrown back to me. Uncle Bert, then, for Sam as a selection. Not the name of a fashion show, as far as I'm aware, the Uncle Bert, but I think it would fit quite well, to be honest with you.
I think that's got a nice ring to it, yeah.
You're saying I definitely attend that one. But I'm not siding with him or your selection either. So we're going for 3 different ones here. Sign from Above for me, an Irish Raider. Now, when looking at this race, I was really trying to weigh up the form between race-fit horses that we've been seeing over the summer, but horses with better form from back in the winter, but how fit are they going to be for this return? And of course, for horse at the head of the market, Sonagino has evident claims, and you rarely have any sort of fitness concerns about any Paul Nicholls runners, let alone at a meeting he targets so strongly. But I'm siding with a horse who's already been the subject of market support into 7 to 1. Sign from Above for Peter Fahey and Mark Walsh riding. Handicap hurdle debut here, which is always something that's going to catch the eye whenever horses come over here. here for this type of contest. And this lad, he managed to get his head back in front for the first time over hurdles last time out, winning a Navan maiden hurdle to go with his success prior to that at Galway in a mile 6 handicap. When he was well back, the money was there again for him last time out. And I loved the way he picked up last time. He showed plenty enough speed, but trip-wise, I think he's pretty versatile though. And again, I just expect more to come from him in this sphere. And this opening mark actually looks quite fair for an Irish horse. I think that the handicap has been pretty fair for him. So I'm hoping the further market support will be there for me. So that is sign from above.
So are we going to start the season with the Irish basically blitzing everything in Britain again? That's what you're hoping
starters
for.
we mean to go on. You have a 33-1 shot early on. The Irish coming over with a handicap block, hopefully then to start the entire season as we expect. But you are, though, with Molly Ollie's wishes.
Yes.
And Sam, just going back to you, please, for your selection and also those places.
Yeah, work for me, but Dec, how do 4 places sound? You're going to moan about it. Good job with 5 places on the race.
There we go. Well, Sam said he was happy for his selection to finish in the first 3. So, you know, I just... and I've put up a big selection as well. So we'll be chiming in if they finish in the first 5.
Right. Nicely done. OK, they are all of our selections in the Silver Trophy at Chepstow. Before we head over to the Sky Pad now to give you our best bets for the weekend, as well as taking an early look ahead to the Champions Stakes on British Champions Day. Now, we're just over a week away from the Group 1 Champions Stakes on Champions Day at Ascot, and it looks a pretty wide open renewal at this stage. We're expecting to see the likes of Horizon Door, Mostadaf, Bay Bridge, as well as King of Steel, hopefully all lining up here. Now, I'm going to kick us off because my horse is second in the market, and that is Mostadaf at 7-2 at present. Now, I will want the ground to be on the quick side for him, but looking at the forecast, of course, there is rain today, but after that, it looks very dry and sunny as well. So I don't think we're going to be getting the usual expected conditions for Champions Day, and I really hope not for Mostadaf's sake as well. A winner over this course and distance in this year's Prince of Wales, the stakes at Royal Ascot, which he did in brilliant style, and I was slightly suspicious of that performance. But to be fair to Mostadaf, he backed it up when winning the Judgmont International, given a brilliant front-running ride by Frankie Dettori, which put Paddington to the sword, Nashwa in second. Of course, that form has evidently been franked by her. It looks really solid. And he also has the other best bit of form from this season when he finished 4th in Mishima Classic at Meydan behind Equinox, Westover, Zagrey. And that race has been a theme throughout the entire season to be tracking as some of the best form from the entirety of the year. So Mostadaf simply has the best form in the race for me, but Dec?
I absolutely agree. If the ground is decent, I think he'll bolt up, especially now that he's fresh again. But, Kate, while you are hoping for a dry build-up and flat racing weather, I'm hoping the rain continues. Let it pour, I say, because I like Via Sistina in this race. You know, I was just going down through the market there. Horizon Door, this will easily be the toughest race he's running. Mostadaf, will he run if it gets too wet? King of Steel, I thought hung last time out as a big horse on really fast ground. Could that leave a mark? Bay Bridge, pretty similar comments apply to him, having run in the Arc just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then Continuous as well. You know, is he really a 10 furlong horse? And I just thought Via Sistina, she was overpriced at 12s, especially given all the recent rain around Ascot. She's had a wonderful season. She obviously kicked off the campaign in the Dahlia Stakes at Newmarket, where she bolted up on soft ground, where after her trainer, George Bowie, said she's a big girl with big feet, so the softer the better. So I'm not sure if George would get away with saying something like that about his own missus, but Via Sistina clearly loves to get her toe in. She obviously went on to win the Pretty Polly Stakes after that as well. Ran a cracker when she was just mugged by Marquise de Savignon in the Prix-Jean Romanet. Now, she is in the fillies and mares over 12 furlongs. She's never run over that trip before, but I thought last time out in the Romanet, she probably latched on a little bit. I think the tempo of 10 furlongs, soft ground around a stiff track like Ascot is really tailor-made for her. And I think when you factor in her sex allowance, getting weight off a lot of those colts, 12-1, I think on form in general, she's just way overpriced. So yeah, Via Sistina for me, let it rain.
The big girl with the big feet then for Dec. So yeah, that's something we can clip up quite handily, Sam, can't we, going forwards? But who was your play?
Oh, talking about everything big, King of Steel for me, an absolute brute of a horse who has had a really interesting campaign, hasn't he? And I appreciate it was a little bit unfortunate. I thought the fallout from Irish Champions Weekend around, obviously, Kevin Stott and Amo Racing parting ways. And I thought Kevin was a little bit hard on himself talking about that race, where the horse ended up fourth and beaten by some very good horses, if we're honest, looking at that. Deck mentions, obviously, the potential for that was a hard race and hanging on the surface. But let's not forget, it's just chinned in the Derby on good to firm ground and then beat Continuous at Ascot in quick conditions as well. So I'm not too concerned in terms of the ground leaving a mark. I think, obviously, for what we're going to get on Champions Day, I think he'll be absolutely fine. And I still just think there's a bit more to come from him. I like the fact that he's going to have a significant enough break coming here. For me, I think he's still got some more to find. He's going to need to, obviously, to get the better of the likes of your selection, Kate. But I just really love this horse. I think he's an absolute brilliant horse. And I do think he can pick up that big race. You go back to the King George, obviously third behind the likes of Hookham and Westover. And I just think there's one more big one in him for this year. And I hope he goes on next year as well, because I think he's a brilliant horse. I've got a real soft spot for him. And I just feel in a race that's likely to cut up, I don't think as well he's going to have to contend with the battalions from Ballydoyle here, whereas he did obviously have to do that last time out. And I'd be curious to see who ends up riding him.
Very much so. That's going to be a real point of interest, isn't it?
I think Frankie Dettori's booked, isn't he?
He is. There you go. A farewell winner for Frankie. That'll do me.
What farewell?
Well, farewell. Well, we say farewell now. Farewell maybe in this country. We will
Frankie
see.
probably only got the ride because of the farewell tour, for God's sake.
It worked out well for him in the end, didn't it? Yeah. So more on that and plenty more on the Champion Stakes in due course when we look ahead to the race properly next week. But they are our selections for now for the race. Now in the more immediate future, our best bets for this weekend. Deck, starting with you, please.
Yes, I'm going to go to Newmarket for the best bet this week, and we've already covered the race in the Dewhurst. I think Iberian without City of Troy is a bet that will take an awful lot of beating. Look, you can either back Iberian at 5-4 without the top class horse who might not go on soft ground, or you can back City of Troy at around 1-2 with big doubts around him on the going. I think this race really sets up well for Iberian. I've been waiting for him to get some pace to run at. He's going to get that. He's drawn in 6, close, kind of one of the closer ones to the stand side rail, and as long as Tom Marquand can pick his way through, I think he will go very well in a race that has a lot of kind of fast ground horses. Again, absolutely love seeing all this rain at Newmarket. In the very last race on Saturday, Fast Response will go well. I thought she ran a cracker last time out in the Air Gold Cup on drying ground. That was probably against her, and she raced on a wing. I think she's the only 4-year-old in this field here, which is interesting, and I'm hoping the ground really gets atrocious and that kind of older maturity, physical and mental, really sets her up at the race for her. We know this is her time of year. She loves to get her toe in, and Ryan Moore is booked. And then the long shot this week is going to be a Zoffy in the Cesarewitch. He ran very well in the race last year on good ground when he was 4th, and he's been in good order this season. I thought he made his seasonal debut in the Chester Cup was a good run. But kind of in the mid parts of the season, I've been a little bit worried about the form of the Hugo Palmer yard. They haven't been in bad order, but I just don't think they've really thrived. I think that's all changed in the last few weeks. The horses seem to be running much better, much more consistently. And in a race that he ran well in before, with no problem on soft ground, it will be Zoffy for me as the long shot this week.
25-1 about Zoffy as well in what is a wide open race, as we tend to expect. Sam, your own best bets, please.
Yeah, great weekend of action. Obviously, both codes well represented. I'm going to kick off with my nap, and it's going to be a short price, I think, for Nappers Hill to get the job done at Chepstow. One of the reasons Paul Nicholls will continue to be champion trainer over the jumps is his placement of horses. Nappers Hill here, I think £11 clear of the next best on ratings. This looks an excellent starting point for a horse that I'm sure will continue to progress. But this is why Paul Nicholls always seems to absolutely clean up and will probably be one of a few winners at Chepstow for him over the 2 days. Next best, we've spoken about Uncle Bert at Chepstow, arriving from the most informed jumps team around at the moment, and I think the Tristan Davis duo will get off the mark and have the winner there at a nice price of around, I think, 30-2. Then finally, my long shot, we will just touch that the Cesarewitch is 6 places with Bet Victor, and a trainer that's got a fantastic record. The race we touched on earlier is Willie Mullins. I wanted to back something of his. He's got plenty in here at massive prices, the likes of Lot of Joy at 33s, but it was Mr. Escobar. Siobhan Rutledge will take the mount here, and her £3 will take a little bit more off. And right at the foot of the weights. It's very, very unexposed horses. It's just a curious pick for me. Goes up in trip. The first time gone any further than 2 miles. And like I say, just seems to be very unexposed, arguably the most unexposed in the race. And I think a basement mark could be curious here. I wanted to have a dart at the race at a big price outside of Pied Piper, who I really fancy. And Mr. Escobar was where my hint came down.
Well, I like the fact that we're getting those extra places, of course, into Cesar Rich, and that we're all making the most of that as a result as well, because my own long shot comes in that. But to kickstart, though, with my nap, because my nap, it comes in a race that we haven't actually focused in on yet. Now, this is Arabian Crown in the 3:15 at Newmarket, the Group 3 Zetland Stakes over 10 furlongs. Now, I was quite struggling for a real definite nap this weekend, because it's just one of those, I feel, this time around. So sort of one of the more sure 2-year-olds that I came across this weekend that isn't a silly price was Arabian Crown in this contest. Trained by Charlie Appleby, ridden by William Buick, 3 starts to his name. Arguably, he should be 3 from 3 in his career, but he was defeated on his debut and only beaten 3/4 of a length into third when he was a big eye-catcher. Proved that when winning back over that same course and distance. Then taking a listed race that Charlie Appleby has targeted with future group performers. And he looks more than ready for a Group 3 and with a step up in trip that may also unlock further improvement as well. Now, my next best also comes in a race we haven't covered yet. This is the 2:25 at York, the Sprint Trophy Heritage Handicap over 6 furlongs. Now, I was really toying between Montasib and Ali's Dancer in this, both at similar enough prices as well, but 12-1 about Montasib is fine for me. He ran a cracker last time out when 5th in the Air Gold Cup, beaten just over a length, held up in rear, denied a clear run, caught the eye, as did many in that contest. That was his first run over 6 since his debut, so I'm expecting him to sharpen up from that experience. Off the same mark, a decent draw. Will not mind the forecast heavy rain at York either, with the likely going description change for him. And my long shot is going to be, oh my gosh, and at 20-1 in here in the 2:40 at Newmarket, the big Heritage Handicap itself over the 2 mile 2 in the Cesar Rich, for all of the reasons I stated beforehand, off of a very fair mark of 88, and I'm hoping that still one is going to be more of a positive for him with that rail to hopefully help him stay pretty straight. But as I say, he's very much a win or nothing bet for me as my long shot. Goshen. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. A big thank you to Dec and to Sam for all of their hard work as per usual. Sam, we really hope you get better soon and start feeling back to yourself, and hopefully we will see you here in the studio with us next week as well. A big thank you to you at home for watching. A reminder as ever that you can watch all of Chepstow's jump season opener on Sky Sports Racing. We'll be back at the same time next week to preview the big day at Ascot, British Champions Day, so you really don't want to miss that one.